President Trump appears to be moving the U.S. closer toward conflict with Iran, and New York City's comptroller and one of the candidates to be the city's next mayor was arrested yesterday outside an immigration court. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Israeli warplanes have continued to strike Iran overnight, including hitting the capital, Tehran. An Iranian foreign ministry official is warning against U.S. intervention in this conflict, saying it could lead to a wider war. President Trump is speaking out about the conflict between Israel and Iran, and NPR's Franco Ordonez reports Trump does not appear to be interested in diplomacy anymore.
Trump has repeatedly said all options are on the table. He's drawn a red line if soldiers are targeted, but he's also signaling the U.S. is already more involved than the White House previously let on. He's boasting that, quote, we now have total, complete control of the skies over Iran. He's saying we know where the supreme leader is. I mean, he's repeatedly using that word we, blurring the line between Israel's objective and U.S. objectives. Taking that kind of ownership has really raised more concerns of the U.S. getting more involved into another foreign conflict.
NPR's Franco Ordonez reporting. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans are considering adjusting the multi-trillion-dollar tax cut and spending bill backed by President Trump. But NPR's Barbara Sprunt reports new Senate provisions are setting up a collision course with the House.
The Senate Finance Committee released the highly anticipated legislative text, which addresses programs like Medicaid, clean energy tax credits, and other hotly disputed items. This comes after the House passed its version of the bill in May, after narrowly overcoming internal divisions. Some of those House members who are at the center of the negotiations have already said the latest text from the Senate crosses their red lines, like not enough of a deduction for state and local taxes. Some senators are also concerned the Senate language makes too many adjustments to Medicaid. Senate Republicans want to pass the bill by July 4th. Barbara Sprunt, NPR News, Washington.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has released a more detailed analysis of the proposed measure. The CBO says it would increase U.S. deficits by $2.8 trillion over the next decade. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says it fails to take into account how much economic growth the bill creates. New York City Comptroller and mayoral candidate Brad Lander was arrested yesterday outside an immigration court. From member station WNYC, Charles Lane reports Lander was detained as immigration officers were trying to take a migrant into custody.
Video shows Lander being led away in handcuffs by two men who appear to be masked law enforcement officials, typical of recent practices by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Lander, who's running for mayor, said he was escorting a migrant from court and asked to see the person's arrest warrant.
And they would not show me the warrant, and I said I'd let go of his arm as soon as they showed it to me, and they did not show it to me, and you saw what happened.
A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security said Lander was arrested for assaulting law enforcement and impeding a federal court officer. For NPR News, I'm Charles Lane in New York City.
In Georgia, the mother of a brain-dead and pregnant woman who was kept on life support tells Atlanta TV station WXIA the woman's baby was delivered prematurely by C-section last Friday. She was about 6 months pregnant. The baby is now in intensive care. WXIA is reporting the woman was about 8 weeks pregnant when she was first declared brain dead, but her family says Georgia's near-total ban on abortion required them to keep her on life support for months. Her mother says she was taken off life support yesterday. An overnight curfew for downtown Los Angeles has now been lifted. It was imposed last week following clashes between authorities and protesters after federal immigration raids. Steve Futterman has more.
Mayor Karen Bass, who imposed the curfew, said tensions here in the downtown area have been reduced. In a written statement, she said the curfew and other crime prevention efforts have been successful in protecting stores, restaurants, businesses, and residential areas. When the curfew first went into effect, LA was enduring nightly confrontations, with police at times using non-lethal explosives, tear gas, and declaring unlawful assemblies.
You have 10 minutes to the church.
Although the nightly protests and confrontations have essentially ended, there are still some troops in place protecting a number of downtown federal buildings. For NPR News, I'm Steve Futterman in Los Angeles.
Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is facing another lawsuit, this time for allegedly hiding assets from the Sandy Hook families. They won more than $1 billion in damages for defamation. NPR's Tovia Smith reports a federal trustee overseeing the settlement calls Jones' financial dealings, quote, textbook fraud.
Jones has long claimed he didn't have the money to pay the families who sued him after he accused them of faking their children's deaths in 2012. Now, the trustee in Jones' bankruptcy case is trying to prove that Jones at least used to have it, but tried to hide it by giving it to his father, his ex-wife, and his kids' trust. The trustee wants the federal bankruptcy court to undo $5 million worth of last-minute sales and transfers of cars, condos, cash, and a ranch. Lawyers for Jones did not respond to requests for comment. Chris Maddy, attorney for the families, says it's no surprise Jones would lie to hide his assets, but added, quote, he won't get away with it. Tovia Smith, NPR News.
The major bank, Chase, is hiking its annual fee for a popular credit card to nearly $800. NPR's Alina Selyuk reports it applies to a premium card often used by people to collect travel points and rewards.
The card is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, highly sought after, particularly for travel rewards. Its annual fee is currently $550, going up to a whopping $795 in October. The company had long offset its steep fee with a reimbursement for travel expenses of $300, and that amount is not increasing, though Chase is promoting various new rewards, including deals with Apple TV, rideshare company Lyft, and food delivery service DoorDash. The news exploded online, where scores of Chase users are posting alarmed comments and reconsidering their loyalty to the card. Alina Selyuk, NPR News.
A major pop star joins the race to score this year's unofficial Song of the Summer. NPR's Stephen Thompson has more.
2024 gave pop fans a crowded race for the year's unofficial Song of the Summer, as major stars and new faces flooded the market with massive pop hits. This year, it's been slower, as the pop charts have been loaded with last year's hits alongside new ones from the country star Morgan Wallen and the ever-present hit Ordinary by the singer Alex Warren.
Oh my, you're taking me out of the ordinary.
This week, the Song of the Summer sweepstakes finally gets a rowdy pop contender, Sabrina Carpenter's Manchild. Manchild is off to a good start. It debuts on this week's Billboard Hot 100 at number 1. Stephen Thompson, NPR News.
The Florida Panthers have successfully defended their title as NHL champions. They won the Stanley Cup last night, defeating the Edmonton Oilers 5-1 at home. Florida clinched the best-of-7 series, beating Edmonton 4-2. The series' most valuable player is Sam Bennett, a Florida Panther forward. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.